we'll talk more about queer representation in the coming episodes, but coming episodes of Buffy, not in coming episodes of this show.
We won't be coming in any episodes.
No, we won't be showing any queers in this episode because this is my last one. DJ has to kill me to stop me from opening the queer portal behind me.
Oh yeah, just take a big slurpy slurp. That's
is this
what people
bothering
like
anyone?
to hear.
This is my tribute to Madeline Kahn and the late Christopher Lloyd.
Welcome to Your Inner Child's an Idiot, the Vor podcast.
Not to shame anyone.
Not to shame anyone. You're into what you're into.
You can do what you want, but you actually can't have a giant woman eat you. So, I mean, I'm not here to shame that you would like that to happen, but I feel like logistically, sorry, bud.
Here's what we're covering. And weirdly enough, it's not terribly unrelated to what we were just talking about. I'm going to give you a big hint.
Okay.
It is something, it is, an IP based on previously released IP. Okay?
IP? We're saying IP now? Okay.
I am, because I don't want to give... Okay, it's a series. It's a TV series. So I'm really narrowing
it down. A TV series?
Yes.
Interessante. Okay.
Based on something that was previously released. And we have not covered either of these things before.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's a TV series based on an earlier TV series or a movie?
A movie.
TV series based on a movie, and we've not covered any of the movies. So the Batmans are out.
Yes, correct.
Brady Bunch movie followed the Brady Bunch show, so it can't be that.
That's the reverse order. That's not what we're going for here.
I'm looking for a reverse Brady Bunch.
I gave you a big hint when I said it was related to what we were just riffing on a second ago.
Women eating small men?
I mean, it's not unrelated.
Well, Jurassic
very
Park, all the dinosaurs in the park are women.
Life finds a way. Why did I make him sound like James T. Kirk?
Yes. Okay, so it's about people being eaten in some way or consumed, and it's a TV show based on a previous IP.
Yeah.
Intellectual property, something that we all casually say now. That's just something we all say.
Thank you for defining that for the people. Our audience aren't people who like listen to a lot of podcasts about movies or like movies or hang out on Reddit.
They don't like movies. They're like, you know what? Before I dive in, I'd like to hear what two guys who grew up with these movies, you call them, moving pictures? I'd like to see what they have to say. Yes, the more obscure the men, the better. And yes, please, cis white men, please.
Let me continue to narrow it down for you. Please. Began in the late 90s.
Nothing's helping. The TV show began in the 90s.
Yes. It has a now known to be problematic showrunner.
Ooh, now I'm excited.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Hopefully not too much.
Problematic showrunner. It's not... Law and Order isn't based on a movie. I don't think Dick Wolf...
Law and Order.
Well,
Dick Wolf
I love me.
Just, it just makes me think of like the guy in like the old cartoons, the wolf that's like smoking cigarettes.
Hey, I'm Dick Wolf.
Detective.
Is it a drama or a comedy?
It's more like a cheesy drama with some occasional like somewhat comedic elements.
90s cheesy drama. Wait. Is it a whole new cast from the movie?
Yes.
Of course it is. Because no movie star would deign to be in TV.
Yeah, that would totally ruin their careers.
I felt like I was getting close to something, but I don't feel like it slipped away out of my hand.
The lead person in this show has been in something that we have covered.
Okay.
Late 90s. Very big in the late 90s.
The thing they were in was in the late 90s?
Mid to late 90s. I can't remember what year.
Like, I'm spinning the drain. I'm hooked on the showrunner thing.
Think about teens. Think about the kind of program a teen would be in. Think about what kind of network it might be on.
The C-Dub?
Yeah, now you're getting closer.
Ooh.
Actually, I'm pretty sure. Now I'm starting to doubt myself. People that are really into this are going to be real mad at us. It's got a very large and vociferous fan base.
Oh, Le Bouffe.
Yeah.
Le Bouffe de Vampire Slayer. Slayer de Vampire.
Wasn't wrong. Not completely unrelated to eating people.
Yes, you're right. I mean, parts of people. The problem I have with the vampires is the waste. Eat the whole person. Native American vampires would eat the whole person.
I forgot to introduce the show. Welcome to Your Inner Child is an Idiot, the podcast where we look back on things from our childhood and see if they were any good to begin with. My name's DJ.
And I'm Damon. And now let's resume. Let's resume what we were talking about.
And now we continue smoothly our conversation. We're talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Sorry. We're talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the television program, not to be confused with the movie, which I was way more familiar with. I saw the movie, enjoyed it. That would be good to revisit at some point, but it is notably much less of a cultural force than what that series became, especially in this household in which I live.
Have you watched this before?
I have seen episodes of this.
Is Lauren a buff person?
She, I would say, is at least at one time was a buff head.
A buffet.
Buffet.
It's funny that this is a huge hole in my nerd knowledge. Oh. I know people who are very passionate about Buffy. The weird thing is I kind of wrote off the show when it first came out because it just seemed like I was like, oh, they made a movie or they made a show about that movie that my brother saw on opening weekend and I don't know anyone else who saw. And so I sort of wrote it off. And then when I got to college, I had friends who were like crazy buffet heads. And I was like, wait, is this a thing? And then the further I got, like more and more respectable pundits and critics all love Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, and they would talk about just like what a visionary Joss Whedon was, like how flawless he was, both as a person and as a creative. And then nothing happened with that.
No concerns about him whatsoever.
Yeah. Are you excited?
Now, I know he's on the monstrous scale, allegedly.
Yeah.
He's not a Weinstein.
No.
He's not a Spacey.
I mean...
He's just kind of creepy guy who, like,
I think there was
made the women on his sets uncomfortable because he would hit on them and he cheated on his wife a lot. And
yeah, I think there was like some
just like a
problematic in terms of like how he was as a
boss.
Yeah, as a boss, but also then some of that got into the harassment zone. We'll talk more about that after we.
I can't wait.
Don't talk about allegations off the top of our heads, which is always a dangerous thing to do. Yes.
My lawyer over here is just drawing a dotted line across his neck.
If we could go ahead and mute everyone's mic real quick.
He's saying sidebar? Is that something? Is that an in-joke from the show? I'm not familiar with this lingo, this jargon from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Libel? Is that a character?
Is that a thing? You say the Bible? I can't. So you've never seen nary an episode of this?
I would come into the common room at Scare House, aka Senior Hall.
Nice.
And my friend Lindsay would sometimes be watching her voluminous DVD collection of Buffy. Would it have been VHS even at the time? No, I think she had DVDs.
Yeah, we had digital video discs then.
She had a projector. She was doing a shadow puppet play. That was the latest thing when we were in college.
That's funny. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was actually an oral tradition originally.
That's the problem, is that we don't know how much the story has changed from when Homer was just, going from city state to city state and just telling the story. It's so stupid. Okay, well, I'm excited to watch at least part of this. I'm not watching the whole thing. I'll tell you that right now.
No, we'll discuss what episodes and come back and let you know. But we're gonna watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a smattering of episodes, a splattering of episodes.
I will have to insist, because it's one of the few episodes I know about. We'll have to watch the musical episode. Correct?
The musical episode. There's one called Hush that I have seen that and enjoyed,
based on the Batman comic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry. It's called Rush, based on the Paula Abdul song.
No, it's Rush, which is the sequel. It's like an Aliens thing.
We're going to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We'll be right back. One, two, three,
DJ.
4, 5. Yes.
Pointer Sisters. That was the Pointer Sisters.
Yeah.
You know that? Yeah.
I didn't. That's cool.
It was. DJ.
Yeah.
Into every generation, there's a chosen two. Two white guys with microphones in all the world. And they alone will wield the strength and skill, question mark, to stand against boredom on your commute, for example. And to stop the spread of, I don't know,
villainy,
forgetting middling movies from the 90s. And those people, they're the podcasters. And if you wanted to donate to the podcasters, if you want to support the
cause,
noble work,
yeah,
you can go to You're a Child's an Idiot. No, don't. Well, you can go there. You can go to you'reachildsandidiot.com. But you can also go to patreon.com/you'reachildsandidiot.
Support us there.
Depends on how much you want to type.
Depends on how much you want the one of various demon gods to come to Earth and destroy us all. If you don't want that, you might want to just click on over and support the show.
If I don't want demon gods, but I do want trickster gods? Just someone doing funny things.
Then you can actually support at the highest level.
Now we're talking.
Then we become the gods. Something. Much like
with great power. With absolute power becomes absolute hilarity.
Spider-Man 4. Now, much like Vampire Slayers in this universe, there actually aren't just two podcasters. In fact, like kind of infinite podcasters. So
choose your own.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be $7 for the first Slayer, but after that, 50 cents any additional Slayer. So it's good to get in early and then just pile on the Slayers until, season 7, episode 22, till there's too many Slayers to name.
We are back. We watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Some of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've got one person in this house that was very upset with the fact that we didn't watch every single episode of the show in order to judge it properly. So I'm just going to get that out of the way, that just like any of our shows.
Every single episode she wanted to watch?
Well, I don't know.
Even the ones that we watched?
Probably. She would have been happy with, I think, the first few seasons, because that's where she starts to fall off in enjoyment. But yeah, she's a fan.
I'm interested in that. I hope you interviewed her, because I am interested in, because I've not only from her, but I've heard from other Buffy fans that there is a drop off.
Yeah.
But I want to say one thing, and I have not discussed this with you beforehand.
Okay. Yeah.
We have never met before, have we?
4 clubs.
I think going into this, after I watched the second episode you assigned me, the third episode I watched, Twist.
Do we need to talk about what episodes we're doing before you get into this?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You do that.
So we watched...
Why don't you do that? Give everyone your little list.
Well, and this is going to be, this was very controversial in this household. So I imagine that some people are going to be upset that we didn't watch the right episodes or whatever.
It was very versal in this household.
We always watch first and last. So we watched the very first episode of season 1, episode 1. We watched season 2, episode 22, Becoming, part 2. Now, I watched part 1 as well by demand of my partner. We watched season 4, episode 10, Hush. We watched season 5, episode 16, The Body. And we watched season 6, episode 7, Once More with Feeling, otherwise known as the musical episode. And we watched the very last episode, season 7, episode 22. I assume untitled, because I don't remember the title.
No, it had a title.
Damon?
Chosen.
Oh.
Chosen. It's the story of a young Jewish boy in the Bronx, and he meets an Orthodox Jewish kid, and they become close friends. That's a deep cut school assigned reading list.
The Chosen, joke. I remember that one.
Hey, here's my thing. After I watched Becoming Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, I had a realization that I am not going to judge this show on its overarching season-wide, series-wide story because
really
of the fact that we are bebopping around.
Yeah.
And I was reminded, because I wanted to judge it. You know how much I love judging.
Yeah. It's why we do this show.
It's why we're here. But I remember once a friend of mine in the midst of Game of Thrones mania, he was like, I decided to give that show a shot, so I watched The Red Wedding. And I'll be honest with you,
zipped in.
I don't see what the big deal was. And I was like, well, you wouldn't because you don't know these characters at all and haven't been following them. So you wouldn't know what the fuck's going on.
You did miss some context to that up. No, it is. I think this is one of the more serialized shows that we've tried to watch. It's not a sitcom. It's not even like, even Star Trek had its its multi-part episodes, but it was mostly serial or unserialized. What is that? Episodic is the word I'm looking for.
This does have episodic elements,
it does.
But I feel like the relationships between these characters keep evolving. And every time we start a new season, I'm like, wait, did they just kiss? What's going on here?
Yeah. We do have to be careful with that. Speaking of being careful, do we need to even just begin the episode dipping in the old problematic corner?
We have to start. Oh, do we have to talk about
I think we do.
Creator and writer?
Yeah, I think we do.
Did you look into this? I didn't actually look into the details.
I did a little bit. I'm not going to claim to be an expert.
Let's go into the corner.
Yeah, we can't talk out here in the hallway. No. We got to put the noise machine on so that the other people can't hear us while we talk in the corner. Let's get in the corner. Get in there.
Watch out now, y'all. Damon's got a problem, baby.
Wait, am I supposed to be doing a Muppet walk? Like when the Muppets walk around, they sort of just bob their shoulders?
I feel like the theme song deserves a shoulder dance. Yeah.
Oh, wait, I was thinking of, sorry.
Which, now that I
was thinking of the Buffy theme song, but the Problematic Corners theme
Problematic Corners.
That we all could hear.
The thing about being in my 40s is now you can hear my shoulder dances, which is upsetting.
It's got a rhythm to them.
Okay, so main thing I want to talk about is just the Joss Whedon of it all. This is all Joss Whedon, written, directed by, almost all of it.
The songs are written by? Songs
the musical episode is just mostly him. And so he fell out of grace of the world a couple years ago. And
because of Justice League?
Well, yeah. He tried to save it, man.
No, we hate him. I can't remember why the nerds told me that he wasn't worthy of carrying Zack Snyder's band. No, go on. We were giving voice to the victims, I believe.
Well, and so his downfall is really interesting because he kind of carved a path as an advocate for strong women characters, a cool guy, a nerd's nerd, kind of guy. And then when all this came out, it was interesting because a lot of the more sexual of the allegations are kind of just him being treating women in a callous and upsetting way, but it wasn't, and there were power dynamic things, but it wasn't assault charges or something as that dire. Not to say not to wave away anyone's experience or anything like that, but it also came out just how horrific he was and verbally abusive on set to pretty much everyone, because it originally came out on the set of Justice League. It was Ray Fisher, the guy who played the Cyborg, The Cyborg. Just Cyborg? I should
don't know if there's a direct article or not.
I don't know.
I can't speak to a cyborg. Could that be correct?
But he's the one that came out first, that being yo, there's some shit going down here. And then so it just led to this basically just
he cornered us under the bleachers I gotta tell you about Joss. I gotta tell you about
He
Joss.
texted us first, which was weird. I'm we don't break news. No one comes to us.
This isn't did you listen to our True Beverly Hills episode? Is that how you got a hold of us?
Also, this is recorded months ago. We're gonna be super late to these allegations. And it was interesting. And one of the worst things that happened from a PR perspective is that there was this big interview that was his chance to kind of own it and do a mea culpa and and he just basically, there were some things that he said, and there's Joss defenders on the internet. I can't wait for them to get a hold of this episode, but
I can't wait to meet them.
Yeah. But and they'll say that, he did say he apologized, but he kind of doubled down. Was basically it was not a great apology at the very least. And so that kind of led to him just sort of being you know what? I'm fucking out. and not in a blaze of glory, but just sort of he's just not done anything publicly. And nothing.
He berates people on the street now.
He's back to
it's the love of the game for him.
Servers and bartenders like a real
him and James Corden go out and just make everyone fucking miserable. That's interesting. I had forgotten the details. I know at some point his wife or an ex-wife was like, yeah, he cheated on me many times.
Yeah. Like,
which is, I'm petty too. I enjoy this, but that's not something that I have to be worried about. That's, he cheated on you. But yeah, I think that was the theme, is that, he had built up a reputation as like #feminism. This is what feminism looks like t-shirt.
Yeah.
And turns out he was a dick.
Turns
out also Justin Timberlake, who wore that very t-shirt, also is a dick.
This is going to ruin the tour. He
put it on his tombstone.
And Joss, it's funny. He's like, it's going to be May, but now I've got this. Sorry.
I was hoping to die on April 30th.
So yeah, the strange thing about Joss Whedon's response is he kind of glossed over the sort of weird power dynamic thing with some of the women that he dated and cheated on his then wife with, and like kind of was like, I'm not capable of resisting this or whatever. I don't remember what all he said. I don't want to misquote him or anything, but it was like, it was like he was apologizing while also sort of downplaying some of the stuff. It's one of those like just.
And he made an active choice to be like, I'm out of the game.
It seems like he decided to go away, and everybody was like, cool. And I think
that seems weird, because I feel like if one could come back from one of these allegations, this seems like on the lower rung of like I will try to be better. I shouldn't, take my anger out on actors and crew members.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like,
I shouldn't date actresses who are beholden to me,
right?
For jobs and casting gigs.
Like, I don't know if it's just the niche that he had carved out is so like destroyed now, but also like, given the state of the world that we're living in, he might, could have made it great as like a right-wing pundit or something if he wanted to.
That's true. He did not go.
He didn't go
that direction. He didn't go Zachary Levi.
Yeah, he didn't go the Chuck route.
Thank you, Joss.
Yeah. And so my guess, and this is just purely speculation, is that he's out there, ghostwriting and, and we just don't, he's not getting credit. So we don't know exactly what he's on, but
keep your ear out for some snarkiness to take the air out of some of the stakes of what's going on. Just keep an ear out and know when the wind blows. That's Joss.
That's Joss. So I'm sure I'm missing many details of it, but that's the basic gist of it. And I can understand that if, if this show is important to you, or if like his, I liked the first Avengers movie, but I'm not like, it doesn't wreck my enjoyment of it to like learn this about it. But I also could see if it was part of this sort of, this part of his oeuvre was much more like his baby.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's my presentation that I'm having trouble getting out of. Let's get out of the corner.
That sounds great. And while we're getting out of the corner, I'm going to turn my fan on because I can feel my deodorant.
Okay. Great. Let's get this all on tape. You see, I like what Damon's done here with his shirt because it looks like a vest, but it's actually just a shirt.
Just a little bit sticky.
You've gotten lazy with your shirts under shirts, because that is just a shirt, my friend.
Oh yeah.
Oh
twist.
Wow.
Have I, my friend?
And it was you the whole time.
And it was you.
Okay, so
what a great lady.
Now we've dealt with that. Let's get into the Helmuth. Welcome to Helmuth.
I did watch the second episode after this because I was just curious how this resolved itself.
Okay.
I will say this. After watching Welcome to Helmuth, I don't think I've thought harder about an assignment reaching out to you and saying, I can't do that. This first episode was rough. It was, I could see the Joss Whedon writing, in there, but no one had any of the rhythm down. And so it felt very clunky and ham-fisted. There was also in the fight scenes, a lot of like, and now we cut to Sarah Michelle Gellar in a completely static position and she kicks. And then we cut to someone else who is standing, and then he falls back. And I was like, guys, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers had this down. Come on. Just cut those first milliseconds off. And it was really tough for me to get through it.
We hadn't discovered quick cuts yet.
We didn't have that technology yet. We still had like an old man smoking, using a razor blade to cut the actual celluloid. I did appreciate that Eric Balfour was here.
Yeah.
I did. I was sad that he was immediately killed, at least in the second episode, I believe.
Yeah.
That's the sad section growl. Let me retract that growl. I will say this. I like the vampire's teeth, which look like they're all like sort of serrated. It's not just the fangs. They have like serrated teeth. But I am curious, and I'm not a vampirist in any means. But when did because it was a very 90s thing, I feel like, that when vampires are getting vampire-y, their face changes.
I feel like
Is that Bram Stoker's Dracula?
I thought that was like this show.
No, because I know what happens with Bram Stoker's Dracula, that like Gary Oldman's Dracula
when
gets
he's
like
feeding
wolf face or bat face from time to time. It's not specifically like when he tastes blood, but he seems to be able to choose it, whereas these vampires seem to just change when they're like ready to go.
Yeah. I kind of like that, like the execution of it aside, I like the idea of it like when they're sort of like, because part of the cool thing about vampires, they can kind of pass, you know what I mean? Like they can,
that's true. Culture.
They just look like pale children.
Pale children who only come out around 6:30.
And then when they're feeding, they are like they're like demon inspired form. And I think that's kind of cool. The execution of it, not so much. This was literally on the WB. Like this is like I use in my head CW, WB interchangeably.
This was the WB
as an example of bad things done poorly. And so yeah, it has a lot of those elements from the very beginning.
Are you blaming Michigan J. Frog for this first season, Buffy?
He knows what he did.
He shall be tried in The Hague for the things he's done to us.
Just laying a clutch and walking away? You're a terrible father. I don't know. That was a tadpole joke, I think.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't think.
Yeah, I was concerned about their eyes because I feel like they lose a lot of their periphery vision because their eyebrows get real far down over their eyes.
Yeah.
And I get really concerned. Guys, you can't see. Like, what if someone's above you? You can't see nothing.
Really a missed opportunity for Walton Goggins to have been in this show. Don't even use
He's got a brow ridge.
Eric Balfour, by the way, just to go back to him, I know him as that guy from 6 Feet Under. And I think it's unfair to him because I have no idea what he may or may not be a nice gentleman, but he just seems like a sleaze. Because he always plays
does have that like sexy sleaze guy,
and he's got the crustache that always makes you.
And then like eventually, like it became a goatee crustache. He was one of those guys that I just I didn't even know his name until later on, but he was just in the 90s. He was always on the periphery. He just he had a string of bad luck where he was always in shows where either in this case he was killed almost instantly, or he was in like a teen drama or soap, and it just never took off. And so he just never became a thing. He also, I don't know if he's that great. He's more sexy than compelling as an actor. Wow. And here he's playing like countertype where I'm like, in what universe is this tall, long-necked guy with beautiful eyelashes the nerd that no one wants to hang out with?
Did you notice that there was a John Tesh reference in this?
There was just a casual aside to like a fate worse than death or something like that. Like there's nothing worse than John Tesh.
Yeah. Was that just like a dig at music, or are we at an Entertainment Tonight dig at this point? I think it was already.
We would never take it out on E.T. Tesh. Yeah. It's always music Tesh.
You leave Mary Hart alone.
She's got those legs and shirt, buddy. Yeah, I don't know. That felt very of a time when you would like sort of like the 2000s had Nickelback. Like in the 90s, there was John Tesh and Kenny G.
Like Yanni.
That was like a go-to. Just throw it in there. Everyone will get it. No one likes them.
I thought, like, I guess because I don't know. Is John Tesh like a right-wing guy? He seems like he would be.
I mean, his music started leaning more and more Christian as we went. So I can only assume.
Probably. That's where, like, that was the first thing I went to. I was like, oh, did he say something around this time? And then I was like, no, it's just a music joke. And I just went over my head because I am watching in the future. That's why. Okay, so what other vampire rules? They turn monstery, and then I don't think this is exclusive.
They can't come out at night.
They can't come at night.
Have a master. He lives in the Helmuth.
Yeah.
Now, the master, for all you Seinfeld fans, is the Maestro. Bob Cobb, the Maestro, who Elaine dates and loves the third tenor that no one can name. In Seinfeld. Because I remember, because he's all made up. He looks very Nosferatu-y.
Yeah.
And I was like, that voice is very, first off, New World. It's very Californian Nosferatu. And it was very particular to me. And it was driving me insane. And I had to look him up.
Heinrich Joseph Nest.
Oh, yeah. I have a Heinrich Joseph Nest. Controls the temperature of the house.
You know, you spray them once in the spring and they'll come right back.
You got to kill the queen of the Heinrich Joseph Nests.
I'm sorry. This was another.
I had a revelation during my 10-year high school reunion, which was 1 or 2 years ago, that everyone was having a lot more fun than I was. And by fun, I mean drinking and sex.
At the reunion or in school?
No, in school.
Okay.
Like they were like, oh, remember when we had that crazy party? And I was like, what are you talking about?
Do you mean when we studied quietly?
You mean when we were reading Lord of the Rings to ourselves quietly on a Friday night?
But under our pillow because our mom said we had to. She said lights out.
But like, these are 18-year-olds. Now, 18-year-olds with like, I imagine some chronic knee pain.
They're like 16.
And they're going to clubs specifically set up for the under 18 crowd based on Buffy's order, a milkshake club.
There was one of those in my high school. It was called Papa Woody's.
Excuse me?
Yeah. They got away with that. They had an under 18 club.
It sounds like it was a gay bar and they were like, this isn't working out, but I don't want to change the LLC. Let's just keep the name. We'll make it a milkshake club for under 18.
It'll be fun.
Was it like this very club atmosphere, but lactose heavy?
You know,
you didn't go either.
I only went like
no one ever asked you. No one ever.
It just seemed like
so many memories. The one time you were there,
it seemed like a recipe for trouble, Damon. I didn't want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. If Archie has taught me anything, it's to stay away from those milkshake clubs.
Okay. Also, the vampires to become a vampire. If they just suck your blood, you're dead. But like if they also let you suck their blood, then you become.
This is standard Dracula rules.
Yeah.
A vampire can kill you by sucking all your blood out.
Yeah.
Or
standard.
You can get vampire with him or her or them by sucking their blood.
Yeah. And then I like if they get stabbed in the heart or if their head is removed, they burst into dust, which is would be effective in a. Again,
it is nice because you don't have to answer any questions from the cops.
Yeah,
because there's not just a bunch of bodies lying around. It's just like, who dropped a bunch of bags of sand in this milkshake club?
Just swept the cemetery.
God damn it. Yeah, that is interesting. I liked that. It was, you could tell they were really excited about the effect.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something else about killing vampires. Also, the thing about being a slayer, I thought that she was going to be the only one who could kill vampires. And that all her little Scooby friends would just be there to like
support,
be Velmas, basically, to investigate, look at books, wear camisoles with, cardigan over it, that sort of thing. But instead, everyone else is slaying like throughout the series. So I'm like, so what is Buffy she's just stronger than everyone else? She can kick in a locked door?
Yeah, I guess. She has these skills, but it doesn't seem like
a certain set of skills.
She doesn't seem like she has like superhuman skills.
No, she seems like she has super strength and kicking skills.
I guess it might be more of an effects thing because it just seems like it's either all super strength or none super strength. You know what I mean? Like the strength seems proportionate for everyone. But
I guess
think
it's
that's
proportionate to the vampires or something.
No, I think it's kind of a common action thing where it's like you can't really sit there and be like, well, if this person has this level of power and they kick, then the person's got to go this far. But if Willow, who's a normie, kicks someone, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
They don't go nowhere.
It's not worth it. But
she rolled a 2 or something.
It does make it hard to. Let's talk about the characters. I want to drop that because I don't know. I'm getting lost in the weeds.
Sorry. I thought we were here to talk details. So we have Buffy, our standard, very pretty blonde lady.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I felt like I was on the beaches of Normandy. I could have gone with Etretat, which was far less loaded. Yes, she is. I know in the original movie, she's like a popular cheerleader.
Yeah.
Who gets like sort of a valley girl in the original movie.
Totally.
And in this, she's much less so of that. Maybe they understood like that probably would get really annoying pretty quick.
Yeah, they got, I mean, she plays it up a little bit because she is moved. Basically, these events take place after the movie. So
I was surprised that this was a sequel series and not basically like, let's try that again.
Yeah. I think it was cool because it lets you just sort of like cut to the chase. She doesn't have to like be like, what am I? She already knows she's a vampire slayer. It's in the title. You know what I mean? Like we don't need a lot more than that. They get a lot more lore as the show goes on, but
right. We don't have to like see her parents get murdered outside that Zorro movie and the pearls fall in the alleyway. Yeah, we know. Everyone knows this.
She falls into a vampire bat cave.
Her biggest fear, being killed by vampires. Besides, she's going to use that fear.
Oh.
You see, vampires are a superstitious lot. Isn't that what they... Okay. I thought that would go over better with, Thought that'd be funny. I'm not going to do the Hush joke that's also that I have listed. That's also a Batman reference. I'm crossing it out right now.
I thought there was more to your joke. I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Okay.
Why would vampires be superstitious? They are the superstition.
They are the stition. Yeah.
They are the stition. They don't need to be superstitious.
Yeah, she doesn't. There's a couple references to her just being like, "Oh, I just wanted a new top" or something like that. But she doesn't really talk. Cordelia is the one who's got the sort of like popular girl, mean girl, funny lines vibe.
I was surprised that they only had one Cordelia at this high school. I know at Beach High School it was like Cordelia S, Cordelia T, Cordelia W. Like my AP history class had like 3 Cordelias in it. It's like, pick a new name, guys.
It was truly the Jennifer of our times.
I think 1981. Everyone was naming their kid Emily or Cordelia.
It's Cordelia's all the way down.
It was a big King Lear year that year.
And then we've got Willow, Michelle.
Willow Halfgood, yeah.
Michelle from American Pie. She is the Met from How I Met Your Mother. Yeah. We have Angel.
Yeah, we do have Angel. Let me tell you something about Angel. I went into this. First off, I went in assuming that Angel was introduced much later than he was.
Yeah, right.
He's right at the front.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you, have we ever seen worse acting? In that first episode, he may be the worst actor we've ever seen in a movie we've reviewed. Movie or show or whatever.
I don't know.
We've reviewed. He was he didn't make the cut at high school theater level. Like he got up, stood perfectly straight, and then went, ugh. I'm like, come on, dude. You've fallen before, right? Like you've hurt yourself, David.
It's pretty bad.
He gets better.
He does get a little bit better.
That first episode is atrocious. I'm like, this is the man who had the charisma that you were like, yes, him. He's going to be our through line throughout the entire series.
He always I always confuse this guy with Dominic West, who is a pretty good actor. And so actually watching this show more closely made me realize that no, they are not even remotely the same person. They just have, a long head.
I see. I think that Dominic West has like a sort of angled head, whereas David Boreanaz, it's like, I'm going to do a rectangle and then spikes on top of it.
It's like Bart Simpson, basically.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Like the silhouette of Bart Simpson, but they like drew on different features.
Yeah, he's the worst of a lot of bad acting that happens
in this first step. I do want to keep clarifying, because I have a lot of friends and a lot of people I respect who really love Buffy, and I just want to be clear, I am talking about this first episode that we watched.
Oh yeah, because anyway.
Calm down. The library is not open. Let's just cool our jets for a minute. But it
does get better.
This
it gets
first
better.
Episode I was like, I don't know if I literally don't know if I can do 6 more episodes at 44 minutes each of this.
Yeah, this is like early. What's the cartoon we watched where they were reusing the same shots over and over, and it was very clear. He-Man. It was like the paint is like they painted the wrong colors, and they're just like, leave it. It's almost like that level of care. I don't think it's care so much as they were.
Yakko's voice is coming out of Wacko's mouth. Fuck it. Who cares?
It's not that level of cynicism.
Bunch of latchkey kids watching this. Who's gonna remember that?
Me,
and
for the rest of my life.
Oh, well, actually.
I think it's the wrong shade of red anyway, even if you hadn't.
I'm insufferable.
Yeah, fake you is terrible.
Definitely fake me.
What are the characters? We didn't really talk about Willow. Willow is like the mousy sidekick character, at least in this first episode.
She's very nerdy, academic, awkward. Still goes to the club, though. I will say that, to the milkshake club. But yeah, she is like the math nerd. She's introduced as the math nerd. I like Allison Hannigan a lot.
Yeah.
And especially in the later episodes, I'm like, okay, I now get what was being attempted in these first few episodes. And I think she's my takeaway as my, she might be my Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, I like,
implied cunnilingus later. DJ.
True.
You know that's my rule.
If you imply cunnilingus, you get an award.
You get Catherine O'Hara.
She had one of my lines that I wrote down for this movie, which was, she's talking about how she can't talk to men in this case, where she's like, I can usually make a few vowel sounds and then I have to go away. I like that. We get Rupert Giles.
Yes, Chip Chop Chip.
Yeah.
His character is English.
Yes.
That seems to be the long and short of it.
Yeah.
Tyler has
a watcher.
He's Ted Lasso's
played by
villain.
Anthony Stewart Head. He plays the bad owner in Ted Lasso.
Yeah. Gets one up during darts. Yes, he plays a watcher, and every Slayer has a watcher assigned to them.
Sure. That sounds right.
In the movie, it was Donald Sutherland, and in this, it's Giles, Anthony Stewart Head. He's charming.
Because if you move away, they're like, I gotta go. I can't.
There's no way that Donald Sutherland.
My kids and grandkids are here.
My commute is perfect. I'm not going to uproot just for a teenager. Just because you burned down the gym? Come on. It's my best Donald Sutherland impression.
Come on.
But I mean, he feels very much like if I, as a teenager, had to write a British character.
Yes. Chip, chop, chip.
He's 3 seconds away from saying chip, chop, chip. And then floating away on an umbrella.
We also have Xander, who's the like doofus.
Doofus indeed.
Like guy of the group.
He was giving me vibes of being a red flag carrier. I did not like his character at all, even though I think if I watched it contemporaneously, I probably would have identified with him the most. But watching him in retrospect now, I was like, I don't like this guy, and I don't think any of you should be hanging around with this guy either. He just had that nice guy vibe to him. Like, why won't the girls like me? I'm such a nice guy. And I didn't like him. Maybe I'd be proven wrong if I had watched the rest of the series, but that was the vibe I got from his portrayal.
And I refuse to watch any more episodes after this. And then, and Cordelia was there were other characters introduced, but those are like our main folks that get introduced. In this
Cordelia
episode.
goes off with Angel to those series. Angel,
which we did not watch yet.
Correct.
Cordelia gets a good line earlier. She talks to because Buffy is talking to Willow, the nerdy person. She's like, I didn't mean to interrupt your downward mobility.
She is the sort of Regina George, I guess, of this school, right?
Yeah. Of this episode, she is my MVP. I'm not going to say that for the series, but...
Oh, yeah. I mean, she is... the only thing that hurts her is that she does disappear halfway through to be on Angel.
Yeah.
And, but she does apparently join their group, dates Xander, who pines for her so, and creeps after her. But, she dates him later on. That's great for him.
Nice guys win.
It all paid off for him. Just keep pining and flirting with women who are obviously uninterested in you, and eventually they'll cave.
Never give up. Quote, Joss
No
Whedon.
matter how many times she says to leave her alone.
Nope. My other favorite line, only other quote is from Buffy to Giles, which she says, "You're like a textbook with arms." Which I like.
No, I feel like the writing is there, and I'm laughing more when you're telling me the lines than I did when the lines were being said in the episode.
Yeah, it's one of those problematic things that happens when lines that are decent, if not amazing, get kind of swallowed by the acting, because you're like, I think that was funny, but I can't tell because
if you had landed on it a little differently or given it a pause or almost anything, that would have been a pretty okay line.
I probably could have looked this up, but what kind of short budget do you think this was? Do you think this was, hey, we're filming 9 episodes today? Or do you think this was...
You thought it was like a Days of Our Lives thing where we're filming 3 months of episodes right now.
It's like Jeopardy. They're like, Ken Jennings, get the fuck out. We got another contestant coming in right behind you. Not Ken Jennings. You can stay.
I was
you keep
getting
winning.
confused. I'm like, where would he go?
That's a bad example.
Mayim Bialik comes in? What are you talking about?
I was thinking of the Alex Trebek days when they were...
No, I know.
Okay.
I knew. I recognized very quickly.
It was a bad bit, but I'm going to...
I agree. Thank you.
You want to move on to the next episode?
Yes,
we gotta get through this.
The next episode is Harvest. That was the sequel to the... Wait, do you mean the one you assigned to me? The next episode, Becoming Part 2?
Yeah, do you want to talk about Harvest for a second?
Nah, the vampires are getting through the sewers. That's how they're able to avoid the sunlight.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Eric Balfour turns into a vampire and we lose him.
Horse apple.
Don't worry, we still got Xander.
He's also tall, it seems like.
True. He is tall and looks like a 32-year-old man in high school. Can we find some 22-year-olds?
Okay. Don't say that again.
That's true. That's eerie. I just mean
while you have that mustache.
Can we just find some and bring them here to the school? I just mean some people just don't look like they're in high school. Sarah Michelle Gellar, she looks like she's in high school for the most part.
Yeah.
I buy it. Michelle Trachtenberg looks like she's in high school. I think she would have been around that age. Everyone looks, and then Xander walks in. I'm like, hey, Pops, what are you doing here? Are you here to pick up your daughter? Or, oh, you're one of our classmates. Of course you are.
It's normal. Well,
okay, I'm done. Although I did write, the one thing I wrote down from this, there was a funny line where someone says, they asked how the vampires were getting around, and someone goes, they can fly? And Buffy goes, they can drive. And they were like, oh, yeah, okay. But one of the vampires is named Luke.
Yeah.
Get out of here with these vampire names.
Well, he was turned in 1991, so...
That's true.
They're not all ancient.
When 90210 was still on.
Yeah.
Hey! This isn't a slight against this movie, although I thought because this is such a winking and knowing show, I was surprised they didn't mention it. Maybe they do in other episodes. But at the beginning of this, in the first episode, Angel actually gives Buffy a cross.
Yeah.
Are there Jewish vampires? Are there Muslim vampires? Does it work? Because, like, Giles actually makes a comment that Christian mythology is just that. It's myth. It's not true. And that the beginning of the earth, like, started with demons, like, inhabiting the earth. And then, basically, was it raising humans to feed off them? Maybe this was in the second part that we didn't see. But if Christianity is not true, why do the relics of Christianity work against these vampires? And would the relics of any faith work against them?
Yeah.
Something to keep in mind. This spoked wheel of Buddhism, would that work? The crescent moon of Islam, would that work?
Star David.
Yeah, just right, like pressed on their head. All right.
Maybe it's any sort of talisman. I don't know.
Just got a lot of questions. I think we should have brought a vampire in to talk to them. All right, let's talk about Becoming Part 2, which is Season 2, Episode 22, 2 and 2, and 2.
2. Now, I did watch
the big season finale.
Yeah, I did watch the first part,
finale.
so I might have some context if you need
it. Please.
Yeah. So,
please.
Angel is, I have a little recap here. We'll just get, Angel is a bad vampire again. So he, at some point, he had been, granted like a soul. So he was a vampire, but he was, felt bad about it. And that's how he becomes, like in our little gang and
a vampire Buffy. You can fuck.
Yeah. The gang tries to, so he, someone, I can't remember who, reverses that. And so now he's a bad vampire again. And the gang tries to restore the curse that gave him a soul, but the vampires attack the friends. They kill Kendall, who is another Slayer, because we've got one of those. Kendra, sorry.
You told me about her, and then she never came up in the episodes I watched, and I felt very jilted.
I said Kendall because she just reminds me of Succession. No, just kidding. She kills Kendra's dead, so we had another. So basically, anytime a Slayer dies, another Slayer takes her place. And
because there can only be one, except sometimes there is more.
Except sometimes. And
now, why is there another Slayer at all?
Because Buffy died and was resurrected.
Okay. I'm actually doing these signs. This is my acting because I actually read a season by season recap of this series because I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Then please.
No, I want you to have to.
You might have to correct me because this is going from
I
sparse
didn't
notes.
Any new memories?
Yeah. She also
injured. Does Spike come into things?
In this episode, I'm in the middle of a recap. Like I don't know when.
In this episode, yeah.
Well, Spike saves Buffy from the cops because she's arrested at some point.
This part I did see.
Yes. Yeah. And then he agrees to help Buffy. Spike is another vampire. He's Billy Idol. And he agrees to help her kill Angel because that's all. It's our last resort. We got to kill him. And Buffy attacks the ceremony that the vampires are having to revive another giant demon of some sort. I don't know if it's the same giant demon, if it's a different one. I don't know.
You seem to be opening up Angel, our beloved Angel, seemed to be opening up a portal.
Yeah.
From a statue that had a knife in it.
Yeah. It's a sword and stone situation.
Yeah.
Pull the sword.
Standard reverse sword in the stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willow is dabbling in spell casting, and so she is trying to cast a spell that will restore Angel's soul.
She's in the hospital right now.
Yeah, but she is recovering, and she cast the spell accurately, successfully. Mm-hmm. I don't know if accurately.
She rolled a 20, and Angel, she casts successfully, yeah.
But in order to prevent Giant Demon Guy from coming back, she has to kill Angel. So she stabs him, and then Sarah McLachlan plays, and we're very sad because she killed Angel.
I do want to say I had that Sarah McLachlan album, and this was one of my favorite songs on that album, and I was like, I did have my little closeted gay heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Well, and this is the closing of a chapter because the reason that Angel loses his soul is because he sleeps with Buffy.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly how that works, but that's sort of like the analogy that we're using for real life is you give yourself to a man and he turns into a monster.
Absolutely. Much like Joss Whedon. No, allegedly. Also, do you think this is what Sarah McLachlan's In the Arms of an Angel is about?
Yeah. That they thought it was too on the nose. And
too on the nose, we're going to use this deep cut.
The Buffy the Vampire Slayer, all about subtlety, this show. Also, Seth Green is in this episode. Oz.
Yeah.
This is our first appearance.
He might be a werewolf, based on the recap I read, unless I got the characters confused.
I missed that.
Please, Buffy fans, don't reach out.
You can reach Damon at 615.
I did like one thing in this episode. This was a step up from the first season. I will say that. David Boreanaz seemed a lot better. The rhythm wasn't quite there, but it was much better than it was in the first season. And there was a moment that I almost criticized until I realized that the timeline was wrong, in that Buffy essentially comes out to her mother as a vampire slayer, and her mother says, "Have you ever tried not being a slayer?"
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, they're ripping off X2. And then I realized, nope. X2 is ripping off this.
Yeah.
This is one of the earliest times when coming out is referenced in media. And I mean, we'll talk more about queer representation in the coming episodes, but coming episodes of Buffy, not in coming episodes of this show.
We won't be coming in any episodes.
No, we won't be showing any queers in this episode because this is my last one. DJ has to kill me to stop me from opening the queer portal behind me. That will flood the earth in faggots and laggots. Lady faggots.
Oh, okay. That's not as scary.
It just seems fun.
I
don't want to do... No, Greg, I don't want to do poppers. No, you do your own thing.
There was also a funny moment when Spike is like reintroduced to Buffy's mom, and she's like, "Have we met?" She's like, "Yeah, you hit me with an axe one time. Remember? Get the hell away from my daughter." She's like, "Oh yeah."
I did like that. I also like when she was like, "I have to go kill Angel," and her mom was like, "Angel, your boyfriend?" And she's like, "Yeah."
She's like, "Okay." Yeah. I do like that this gave, being that what happens in a future episode, I do like this gives us basically our only interaction with Buffy's mom in the episodes that we watched, really.
Yeah, we had a little bit of her in the first episode, and then this one. Okay. Yeah. I also wrote a cab on this episode because they knocked out a cop. And I thought it was funny.
How do the cops know? I mean, I guess there's like glamoring and stuff. I don't know. Is that what it's called when vampires make you like brainwash you? Shimmering? What is it? Is it glamoring? You put on a glamour?
Glamoring?
Isn't that what it's called?
Glittering? Are you thinking of Twilight vampires? Because they imprint. Taylor Lautner imprinted on the baby Renesmee.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
Glamour is a type of spell used to conceal a true form of an object. Glamours are not only optical, but it could be physical and auditory, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's... anyway, don't worry about it.
I did write here, and I wish I had remembered this earlier when I was complaining about the makeup on the vampires, but I wrote on this episode, the vampires in their vampire faces look like Beavis. Prove me wrong, Buffy. Prove me wrong.
All right, should we move on?
We're going to have to do Beavis and Butthead at some point, and I am not looking forward to it.
I'm kind of looking forward to it.
No, don't you DJ what I oughta.
Old dumbass straight teen boy DJ really like that show.
The Blazing Saddles of our day, where I feel like the straight teen boys, I'm like, no. It's making fun of you.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And they're like, nah, this is great.
Nah, it looks great.
Do you want to talk about Hush?
Yes.
Hush, as Tyler called it?
Hurry, lover, come to me was the original.
This is when I was going to reference Hush, the graphic novel of Batman, but I'm not going there again. I'll tell you that.
You see, you should have gone with Paula Abdul exclusively, and that's...
Why don't you have... You know what? Here's some queer representation. Why don't we get Tyler in here, and I'll just go put my feet up?
Okay.
No, you're supposed to fight for me.
I think Lauren and Tyler would make a more entertaining podcast, but their unwillingness to do it is exactly what makes it great, you know?
That's true. The people want them, and they only will want them more. Hey, we're going to talk about Hush.
Yes.
And this is an episode that you are going to recap.
Yeah. This one.
Because I can't remember.
This is the
I
one.
have notes on it.
Before rewatching the series, I've only seen a smattering of episodes before this
Oh, wait,
watch.
I remember this one. Yes. Okay.
And this is the one that Lauren showed me, like, you're going to like this. And she was right. I like it. It's a very standalone kind of, I mean, there's context from the rest of the season, but
yeah,
it's very standalone. It's very episodic. Mysterious
it is one
group.
of the few, yes, that is, I can sit down and watch it and understand what's going on.
Yeah. A mysterious group of creatures comes to town called the Gentlemen, and they steal everyone's voices because then they mutilate them and eat their hearts, and so you can't scream. But
great.
Eventually.
And they have little, like, psychos with them.
Yeah.
And I use that with the most disrespect towards the mental health
The
community.
Footmen, they were called.
Oh, Footmen.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's like Downton Abbey.
Yes.
I like the Gentlemen because they're kind of like if Slenderman and Judge Doom had a baby.
Yeah.
They're sort of
like
floating around.
Kind of always smiling.
They're
like
always
creepy.
smiling, and they're all very prim and proper, which I love. I guess that's the Gentlemen. They're always like, oh, please stop. They're always like waving. They have their hands clasped in front of their chest.
So great.
Very charming.
It's very like
this
Doctor
felt
Who-ish.
very like one of the X-Files episodes when they're just going to do something fun.
Yeah.
When Mulder and Scully have to go to a small town and there are two cheerleaders who are, infested with demons. And I'm like, now this is fun, X-Files. Yeah. I did appreciate, because Buffy has a prophetic dream about the Gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have a box where they're keeping everyone's voices. And she sees the box in the dream, and she's like, she falls asleep during class, and in her dream, she makes out with a guy, and then she goes out into the hallway, and there's a child singing, which Joss Whedon, monster that he might be, he did at least prophesy that every trailer in the 2000s was going to have a child singing a song in a minor key. I don't know how he does it, but he really nailed it. And then she wakes up, and someone, like, I can't remember who asked, but someone kept like bugging. Oh, right. The hot TA or whatever is like, so tell me more about this dream you had while you were asleep in class. And I wrote down, who wants to hear about people's dreams?
That guy. He's just so into her. Well, she did mention that he was in it. I think that's why he wanted to know more about it. Because
even when I'm in a dream, I'm always like 50-50. I'm like, am I doing something cool? And they're like, no, you were just there, is always the response I get. I'm never like swinging in on a chandelier or something. Like, nah, you were just kind of like in the audience.
Unless it's a sex dream, though. You wouldn't want to know if the person that you had a crush on had a sex dream about you.
I know even subconscious Damon is going to disappoint.
You just kind of laid there.
Come on, like, it just at least seem enthusiastic.
Seem enthusiastic, you said.
That's what they used to call me. What?
The name's Enthusiastic. Seem enthusiastic.
It's a family name, yes.
We're from the Northampton Enthusiastics. What's stupid?
I liked this episode.
Wow.
A lot.
Just saying that. Just letting that
I'm going
slip
there.
out.
I'm tired of being quelled and quieted. Two things. I'm being done.
Hushed.
I also I like that there was lesbianism in this episode. We had Willow. I liked this part for Willow, especially because now our gang, the gang is in college, and Willow has joined like sort of a Wiccan group, women's group. And Willow keeps wanting to do actual witchcraft and spells. And all the other women in this group are like,
fake
no,
sales. Yeah.
We're going to just read poetry and like hang out in the moonlight or whatever. And Willow's really disappointed. But there's another girl, a sort of mousy girl with one of those zigzag parts that was so popular in the late 90s.
Yeah.
She's kind of interested in what Willow's got to offer in more ways than one.
Zubba, zubba, zubba.
Zubba, 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 indeed, DJ. Not to use too much niche lesbian slang, but zubba, zubba, zubba. And they eventually get trapped by the Hushmen in one of the like teachers' rooms or like common rooms. And when they hold hands, their powers combine. Doesn't form Captain Planet, but it can move a vending machine against a door to prevent the gentleman from getting in. And that's when they realize, oh my God, I think there's power not only in vending machine movement, but also in our hearts.
And love.
And I was like, oh, lesbians. And I remembered that, Buffy was a trailblazer in queer representation on TV. And I was actually very surprised by the amount of, I don't want to say explicitness, but when I think about the movie Alexander with Colin Farrell, and the hottest it got between him and Jared Leto was they hug sometimes. I was like, hey, implied cunnilingus. Next episode that we'll talk about is implied cunnilingus, but still, that's something for 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, WB, maybe CW. I don't know when they merged. Content.
And only slightly less important. I felt like this was very accurate to how teens dressed in 1999. From my experience, in a suburban Ohio high school, a lot of like every outfit was like, I saw that. We are introduced to a character that's new to us, Anya, and she's wearing like a fully backless, like a backless as fuck shirt.
Oh my God! It was a table napkin with just string on the back.
I remember going to a Dave Matthews Band concert in 1999. It was like all backless shirts all the way down, and it was a very similar experience.
Free the back, the women were saying.
Yeah, it's hot.
It's hot, and especially hot back there.
But she had like a long sleeve one. I'm like, I don't understand this. I mean,
we were making wonderful strides in clothing technology in the 90s. Hypercolor shirts that had no back.
Yeah, we were out there, man.
Absolutely.
You got to explore, Well,
you're saying my boot can fit in the bottom of these jeans. That's what you're saying. It's cut for that. It's the future. Hey,
now
it's the 90s.
This Mr. Martin is a doctor?
Mr. Martin's my dad.
Also, my favorite part is Giles does a slideshow when they've all lost their voices, and he's telling everybody they're in a classroom, like at the school, and he's like showing them on a like old school projector, overhead projector. He's showing them what's going on, and it's very funny because he's made like little crude drawings, and he's like puts the first one upside down, and like it's very good.
He drew Buffy, like what Buffy needs to do, and like the drawing of Buffy is very crude, and she's very offended by it.
Yeah, by how like
pretty charming,
like wide waisted it is and stuff.
I also like that everyone had to wear whiteboards around their necks.
Yeah,
because we didn't have phones yet.
Didn't have them, and then Anya's just like straight up eating popcorn during that whole thing. I find out later that she is like maybe you can help explain it. Lauren explained to me, and it's already lost my brain.
She is a vengeance demon.
Yes.
That I think
she chose the form.
Her major was scorned women, I believe. Yeah. She was a vengeance demon for scorned women, and yada yada yada. She becomes
a person.
I don't know if she becomes a person.
She chooses a form
and mortality, as we'll discuss.
Yeah,
and she likes Xander, another mystery, and I liked her character a lot because she had very unique perspectives on things. I think a running joke is that she hates bunnies.
Yeah, she's scared of bunnies.
She's scared of bunnies, and I think that comes up a few times. I liked her character all right. I was curious more about her because she is, as we were bebopping and scatting all over the series, she's just one of those characters that just appears suddenly. I'm like, who's this now?
Well, in Hush, she just seems like silly like the rest of them. So it wasn't until much later where I was like, why is she being so weird? And then I realized like retroactively, she was weird in Hush. It's just not featured as much. And so it just seems like silly. It's not like she's, a person out of time, like she's in her untrue form, or whatever. But I don't think that's a knock against the show. It's just not important to this episode, so they just kind of made her like a little bit of comic relief.
I think the situation is so unique that everyone's just acting weird, so it's hard to track. Like, no, this person's being really weird.
Yeah, exactly. That's Hush. You want to move on?
Yes. The body.
Yeah,
whose body? Mom's body. She's dead. Joyce. We lost her.
Yeah. Very heavy.
I had actually, through the powers of the algorithm, we had watched Hush the night before, and I was scrolling through YouTube's, and it served me an article. That's not what YouTube serves. It serves a video about how Sarah Michelle Gellar fought against her mom dying in Buffy. And I was like, okay. What a coincidence, though. Literally the next day, I watched this episode. I was like, oh, I don't know how you'll feel about this. I was surprised by how effectively done this episode was. Until Chekhov's vampire right at the end.
Yeah.
I thought this was a really well done piece of television. And it felt so specific that I was like, someone on the writing staff, Joss Whedon or someone else, must have had a parent die recently. Yeah. It felt so specific, just the specificity of the EMTs coming. Yeah. The specificity of them leaving the body for the coroner to pick up later. Yeah. Just a lot of the specific details of this were really compelling. I feel like the show, at least with the last episode and then this episode, had hit a rhythm finally where the writing and the cast were now in sync and it wasn't so clunky that I was really enjoying it. This episode is just it's fairly free up until the last little bit of supernatural stuff. In fact, I think it might be a perfect episode if they had just like foregone the vampire shit that just comes in at the end altogether, because it feels very random, unless it's tied into some
like the next
season
story. The arc overall.
I don't know. But yeah, I thought this was really surprisingly well done. What did you think?
Yeah, it was good. They stick with a lot of things that get yada yada'd over in most television or television shows or movies, where like you mentioned, the paramedics kind of trying some stuff. She has like a quick fantasy of them bringing her mom back to life, and then like her being like, "Oh, I'm so glad you were, it didn't matter that you weren't here, and I would have been fine either way," or whatever. And her mom recovers, and it's a miracle. Like the paramedic is like, "It's a miracle," and then it's not funny, but it's also it's an interesting perspective of it. It's and then later when they're at the hospital, the doctor's like over him actually talking. You hear is like Buffy's imagining what he said, which was like, "I have to lie to you to make you feel better," which is like that. It wouldn't have mattered if you were there or not because she had an aneurysm or whatever. And it was so. I think I had the same feeling that you did. That it was very specific. It felt like an experience. And having been there when we lost my grandfather a couple of summers ago, it was like there's a lot of that I've never experienced firsthand before, and it's heavy and it's real and it's very surreal in the moment. And so it's had that very, very feeling of this like kind of fog over everything, where she's just like, Buffy's just sort of in disbelief, and she has to tell. At this point, we have a sister, Dawn, sister out of nowhere.
Yes.
And we'll get back to that. And she has to tell her, and they're kind of like at each other's throats a little bit. And Dawn is like, "Just spit it out, tell her." And she like pulls her out of class. She won't go with her right away. And like, she's making it weirder because she won't just tell her. And that scene, I didn't, experience that exact thing, obviously, but like it seems very real, because you'd be like, what? And
by law, elder sisters have to pull their younger sisters out of the classroom, but to keep them in view of the entire class. That's the rule. I did look this up because I was also curious about how Dawn appeared. I wasn't a big watcher of the OC, but I had a lot of friends in college that were watching the OC, and I remember Minnie Cooper, which was Misha Barton's younger sister, just sort of appears at one point, and all of a sudden she has a younger sister. And apparently that is how this is handled. All of a sudden, Dawn is there, and even though she is new to the series, everyone on the series just acts like she has always been around. We just had, by coincidence, never seen Dawn Summers.
But there's an in-universe reason, though, right? Isn't there like...
I don't know. The recap I was reading on the Wikipedia page just says that Dawn is treated as if she's always been around. So it's not like she was at a boarding school or something like that. It's just treated like she's just never been caught on camera, but she has been around.
No, there's a reason. She's like...
Oh, okay. Go on.
She's there's something, I'm gonna butcher it, but
Please.
there's something with like, she's the key to something. There's like an in-universe reason that they give her. I don't want to just read this Wikipedia page. There's a reason, and we didn't see it in the show. Okay. Now, I just read you Wikipedia, but we've cut this out of the episode because of our delightful editor, Rob. Thank you, Rob. But now Damon's going to recap that for you, what I just said, in a bite-sized form.
There was an order of somethings, monks, that had to give Buffy some sort of key, and they gave her to her in human form, in the form of a younger sister. And in order for it to all to make sense, they altered the fabric of the universe so that to everyone else in Sunnydale and the known universe, Dawn Summers has always existed.
We've always been at war with Eurasia.
Exactly. We've always been at war with Eurasia.
Yeah.
Get out of here, show. I would rather she just like open the door and like, come on, Buffy, I need to use the shower. That's how I imagined it, and I much prefer that. I will say, Dawn Summers is played by Michelle Trachtenberg, who just passed away a few weeks ago. Harry
in our
Spy and Pete and Pete, The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Oh yeah. How about that? Yeah, this is the first we saw her, so I think she appears sometime earlier this season or in the last season.
Mm-hmm.
What happens with the vampires at the end? I don't remember.
So, Dawn is insistent upon seeing her mother, which now after the history of Dawn you've explained to me, I'm like, why is she so passionate about seeing this woman who isn't really her mother?
I don't think she knows that she's not her mother.
She wants to see her mother, which is an understandable thing, and she creeps into the morgue in the hospital to see the body. And while she's in there, there is a vampire who is also in the morgue, who's like under a sheet, like who's been, I assume, mistaken for a dead body. He rises up, tries to kill her. And in the scuffle, she pulls down the sheet on her mother. Buffy rescues her, kills the vampire. He turns into sand and disappears from electricity, which is like great for the morgue attendant who's like, oh, I'm just missing a body entirely. I don't have any explanation for as to where it went.
I'm sure they'll just let that go.
That seems to be what hospitals do. They're like, no harm, no foul. You know what I mean?
Didn't have the space.
And that part was the only thing that, I mean, it wasn't absolutely terrible. It felt like a really contrived way for her to pull down the sheet.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like the show going, oh, shit. We promised the people vampires.
Yeah.
That would be slayed. So let's get to it. It was just a little minor thing where, I mean, I just was like, you're doing great. You don't have to have this.
Hey, you don't need to do this.
Hey, Buffy. Not you, the character. I mean, Buffy as in toto.
Buffy, you.
It's not your fault.
All right.
Your fault. Okay. On to no, wait, that's not the name. I put it in the same font as I put implied cunnilingus, the same weight and all caps that I've been putting
the titles.
Episode names. All right, let's do Once More with Energy.
Once More with
Which
Feeling.
is the musical episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And DJ, I did the last one, so why don't you take it away? Wait, I actually did the last one. I thought this was a trick.
Oh, well, there's some sort of demon guy who puts a spell on everyone and makes them sing, and then they defeat him and they don't have to sing anymore.
Absolutely. Now, Tyler he insisted that I bring this up.
Yeah.
But this demon guy,
worst makeup of the show so far.
He taps. He tap dances around. It's charming and whatever. If you're into tap. Tyler wants me to note that we do see the bottom of his shoes and he is not wearing taps. So,
magical taps.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans, balls in your court. This show's a piece of shit.
No, the tapping is magical. He's a demon.
He doesn't want to wear it.
Well, you have
That's
a problem
because
with?
you're walking into a Starbucks, you don't want to be tapping.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to lure a 15-year-old into marrying you, they love tap music, 15-year-olds.
Famously.
They love Bring In Da Noise, Bring In Da Funk, a current reference. And they love tap music, so you want to tap around them. This was the worst makeup, I guess. He did feel a little bit like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers enemy. And I know that is the second time I brought up MM.
This is
PR.
This is not reminiscent of that show, just as far as like production value.
What is he supposed to be, though?
Like a devil is like the vibe.
Oh, see, I thought he was supposed to look like a biological human heart.
Oh, okay.
Because he has what looks like a goatee at first.
Yeah.
But it actually looks like
aorta.
valves. Yeah, it looks like valves or veins or arteries coming out of his chin.
What's his name?
But he also has a gem in his forehead, which if I've played enough Zelda, and I have, that's where you shoot your arrow to kill him. At least 3 times, sometimes 5.
Depends on how far you into the game.
And depends if there is like a second thing you have to do after you hit him. Like if you have to hit the gemstone and then like trip him, then you probably only have to do it 3 times. But if it's just hitting the gemstone, you probably have to do it 5 times. He's like a choreographer by trade that they hired to do this piece.
Oh, the actor?
The guy who plays the Johnny Aorta or whatever.
The demon's name is Sweet.
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 Yeah, okay.
His appearance... His mere presence caused the inhabitants of an area to burst into song and dance.
But what's his thing? He had all summer to come up with something. What's it? Is he supposed to be hard, or is he just like a bunch of red?
I don't see anything.
He kind of looks like Vision a little bit, but with like a weird aorta goatee.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just a character design thing. I don't know.
But character design implies there was a design.
What I mean? It wasn't me who designed him. You think I designed this?
DJ, one day you will
creature?
answer for your crimes.
Okay, let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. These songs are terrible.
Joss Whedon is no Stephen Sondheim. He's no Rodgers and Hammerstein. He's none of the Iams. Or Iams. He's not, no, don't do this. Now, I will say, I appreciate the chutzpah.
Yeah, to do like a 12-song musical.
Yeah. Pre-Chicago era, like, hey, what if we just do an old-timey musical? And just, like, committing to it. That is charming. These songs aren't good.
Or that memorable. And
no.
The singers are of varying quality. I
will give them a little bit of a pass because these are the actors you have. You didn't hire them to be musical theater actors. You hired them to be, action, comedy, dramedy actors.
And in the story, they're just people that have been, a spellcast, cursed to sing. So they wouldn't all of a sudden have different voices or be able to sing really well. So I thought it worked all right. That part of it. It's just like the songs
I did like what Xander and what's her name. They have like kind of almost like a Rock Hudson, Doris Day thing. Although she's like in a
Teddy. Yeah.
I'm like, what straight guy put her in this?
Yeah.
She's like wearing a bra, like a lacy bra. They woke up like this, to quote Beyonce. Like he's wearing like silk pajamas, which are fine because they're like kind of like very retro, Cary Granty pajamas. But she is in a lace bra with underwire that she slept in. And then, panties and am I imagining straps or there weren't straps?
I don't remember.
DJ, there weren't straps, were there?
Well, let me just check my
Let me just check
home
my
screen
saved.
Real quick.
My saved. Let me check the background of my phone, the lock screen of my phone real quick.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. That felt like the Joss Whedon we didn't know.
We didn't know we had.
Yeah. The Joss Whedon we didn't know we had creeping in. But I did like their kind of number about how, there are things about each other that annoyed them, but, they would never tell them because they love each other so much. Still not a good song, but it came with choreography and a very retro look to it that was fun.
And it was like, it was more fun than any, like they didn't seem to have as much fun as you would expect. You'd be like, hey, this show was randomly doing a music episode. And you're like, cool. And then you're like, it's because a demon has possessed them and makes them sing. I'm like, that's a great idea. That's cool. Like, and then they just kind of fumbled the bag. I feel like they didn't really. It's the songs. They're just not that.
It's the song choice for me, dog.
Lauren,
and by choice, I mean the ones you wrote for the thing. The ones you had complete control over.
You could have changed this.
This is where we get, I see, implied cunnilingus. Willow and, I want to say Tara, is that accurate?
Yeah.
Tara, her girlfriend.
Tara? Yeah.
And this is the same girl that she was in the Wiccan circle with. And they are, walking through the park, and they have like a kind of sweet, poorly executed song together about how they feel so great around each other, and then they twirl around in the park, and then all of a sudden they're in their bedroom, and Tara lays back, and Willow kisses her, and then moves down out of frame. There's a long enough beat that I lost track of where Willow was, and then Tara starts floating in ecstasy.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is implied cunnilingus. Mazel tov to the people of BTVS. But I was pretty surprised that there would be that implied a cunnilingus in a show like this.
They really implied it.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's underlined, but I would say it's highlighted.
Would you say it's italicized?
It's highlighted in yellow, like you get that one. Not in blue. It's not highlighted in blue. It's highlighted in yellow. So it's yellow on white paper.
Later,
you still see it though.
Later, Willow casts a spell on Tara to make her forget an argument that she has, which is pretty fucked up.
Is that what happened? I missed a beat, and I was like, "Why did Willow and Tara get so weird?"
Yeah,
and I couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember what all happened, but she had, and then Tara figures it out later, and then that's why she's basically like real pissed about it. So, which understandably, that's
classic.
Literal
Fucking
spell casting, gaslighting. It's pretty messed up. You want to move on to final episode, season 7,
I do want to say just one quick note. Adam Shankman did the choreography for this. And he directed your statistically favorite movie. And it's statistically your favorite because I've heard you play the music to this movie more than anything you've ever played before, including your own music that you've written.
What?
I heard it through our wall when we first were roommates.
Oh, hairspray.
Over and over and over again.
Listen.
And I was like, dear God, let me die.
I think this requires some explanation for the fine folks. I think Hairspray is a great musical, so this is not to denigrate anyone who would just listen to it for fun.
Listening to it 100 times.
This is before headphones had been invented. This was mid 2000s. No, not even. Early 2010s.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I auditioned for a tour of Hairspray. Didn't get it, but I auditioned, so I had to learn that. And I also had to learn the entire book for the audition, which is pretty fucked up too.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't just say, hey, learn these 2 songs.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to read. So I like pretty much memorized it. Which is, I didn't need to, it turns out, but that was because I was an idiot. Also forgot my phone on that trip, but that's a whole other story.
No, that actually triggered another memory. Remember when you and Vince went off to East Tennessee somewhere and you forgot you were supposed to bring money?
Oh my God.
Do you remember this?
Yeah. You forgot the safe.
You forgot the safe and I had to bring it to you like at a halfway point?
Yeah.
And it was like pouring rain or something insane. Like everything was going wrong. And it was like the middle of the night. And luckily I need 3 hours of sleep tops to function. And I brought you the safe.
We met a rest area like Jim and Pam. And I immediately proposed in the pouring rain.
But then the whole series went downhill after that.
And actually,
and I started flirting with that boom mic operator. What's the point? Now, you were saying something about slaying vampires?
Season 7, episode 22.
Okay,
Final
I do
episode.
want to... Can I interrupt just before we get into the details of The Chosen?
Yeah.
By Chaim Potok. Where, first off, do Buffy fans such as your wife, your betrothed, where do they say the series drops off? Is the last season the jump the shark moment, or is it somewhere earlier?
I think it was
and
earlier.
Why?
It was earlier. Do you want
Is
to go
the
collect that
music from the
information?
usual episode?
Yeah,
Huh?
she was
I
not...
kind of would like you to bring that information, or if you can get her back on that can,
Right, hang on.
and speak into this can
Hang on.
right here.
Okay, I have a full report. Get off your phone. Hey, Damon, stop playing. Damon?
Stop playing for a second. Yes.
You probably heard some of that.
Sort of.
Middle of
And
fourth...
it does match up. The Willow stuff does match up with what I read, that Willow goes through a Dark Phoenix arc
Yeah.
in this.
Which sounds like not a bad idea, but apparently when...
Not to Lauren.
Yeah.
She likes her characters static.
Middle of the fourth season, so it started to fall off for her. And she just felt like...
Middle of the fourth season.
Yeah.
She's allowed to her own opinions. Go on.
She didn't want us to do the musical episode. We just have to, like, it is one of the famous episodes. We had to do it. But she was like, it's bad. Don't watch it.
I knew it would be bad. I lived through a Daria musical episode. I knew going in the Buffy musical episode was also going to be bad.
She said the villains weren't compelling anymore, that she didn't like the Willow thing. Yeah. They weren't, the gang got broken up because Cordelia was gone. She was on Angel, and she didn't like the sort of never regained the chemistry of earlier seasons for her.
All right. Okay. I'll take her word for it since she's watched the series in toto.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to say, stop saying in toto. I feel like I say it at least once an episode.
You really do. Hey, can you...
Don't notice things.
You choke up on that mic a little bit, by the way. Podcast.
Sorry, I was too relaxed. All right. What is this? Our third hour of this?
Yeah, we got to wrap this up. So okay.
The Chosen.
Yeah. Do you want to recap this one?
Big time. Buffy. She has to kill all the vampires again. This time there is some sort of like immortal thing that can take like a shape-shifting entity that can make more vampires, like factory industrial revolution style vampire making. Nathan Fillion is involved in some way, and she's currently taking Spike to Pound Town. I
guess
more details on that not forthcoming because I don't know. And but Willow has cracked the code on slaying and knows how to make more slayers contemporaneously. We don't have to wait generations for them.
What?
We can just make them. We can just fucking make them.
You don't have to.
Make them. So she does. She touches an axe, and more slayers are around.
We already have a second slayer because Buffy died again and was brought back. Yeah,
Highlander style. So we have a second slayer who's the worst, played by Eliza Dushku. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Am I saying her name right? Because the more I say it, the more I'm like, that doesn't seem like it should be her name.
It is.
All right. Eliza Dushku.
Come on. Don't make fun of someone's name.
Hey, I can do it. I have a wacky name. Anyway, Eliza Dushku and the gang, which includes the new principal and Giles and a bunch and Felicia Day from Mystery Science Theater, The Return. I was like, hey, I know her. I screamed. And they're all, cool and stuff. They find out that they're going to go into the Hellmouth again. That's under the teacher's lounge in the high school. Yeah. They go in and they, see him, and they're dancing around like fucking Zion and Matrix. And then Willow goes full Dark Phoenix again upstairs in the teacher's smoking lounge. And she goes white haired and black eyed. She looks like West Borland for a second. Then she gets normal when she makes all the slayers. And then the slayers come and they're like, pew, 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 stab,
punch,
stab,
punch,
stab. Turn it to dust, slit throat. And then Buffy gets stabbed, and I actually checked with the doctor. if you get more confident after you've been stabbed, it cures the stab.
You're good. Yeah.
That is standard movie logic. If you just start talking more enthusiastically, your wound closes up.
That's why I've always gone wrong when I get injured. I always just sort of like attend to the wound instead of just sort of being more determined. Like in movies.
Just be more determined and tell someone to get out of my face. Preferably the pavement you hit, which would be your arch nemesis and why you're injured.
I'm so mad. Yeah.
And so Spike, Christ-like figure that he is, gives up his life through a magical amulet, a sentence I love saying. And that amulet like shoots out sun rays onto all the vampires, and it's kind of like a lighthouse. It's just like just hitting all the vampires. No one is spared, even though it seems unwieldy at best. It's quite effective, and Spike, in probably one of the better moments, Buffy says, "I love you," and he says, "No, you don't, but I appreciate that you said it." And then he melts, which is like a Nazi at the end of an Indiana Jones movie. He literally melts, and she runs up, and then Sunnydale, portal to hell that it is, starts getting sucked into, starts like a sinkholing into hell. And so they're in a school bus and they're like, blah, blah, blah. And like Buffy didn't escape the school in time. So she's like running. And Tyler is next to me on the couch going, wait, where's Willow? Did they ever get Willow out of there? And I'm like, I don't know. And then Buffy jumps on the bus and the bus like careens after it leaves the city limits of Sunnydale, which if I've learned anything from American Horror Story is that supernatural forces respect real estate law.
Yeah.
They will not go beyond the bounds of a set border that was set in like 1890.
That's Sunnydale Township. That's a completely different. They have their own sewer service.
Didn't they unify at some point? The county government became the city government or something?
You're thinking of Sunnyvale. That is all metropolitan, Sunnyvale metropolitan area.
Oh, I hate it so much. And then all vampires are dead, except Giles mentions that they have a vampire.
That's one city.
Hellmouth in Cleveland.
Yeah. Not to spoil the moment, he says, which I like. Anya dies as well. She gets killed by.
Oh, yeah, that was sad. Saving. And Xander has a moment. Xander, who has one eye now.
Yeah, that happened at some point. And
Tyler, one of Tyler's favorite comedians, Tommy Lenk, is in this series. He's the DM for their Dungeons and Dragons moment.
I wish they also reference Homestar Runner because
they mentioned Trogdor, which I was like, hey, stop that. Stop it, Tyler. I need to hear that. I need to hear that again. Trogdor the Burninator, which makes us both millennials. We have just earned our millennial chips just like Willow. My hair turns white and I'm like, we have transcended to a new form of millennialism by referencing Homestar. I thought this was a fine finale for a series like this.
Yeah.
As far as I could tell, I'm sure Lauren has much more adverse feelings having watched the actual series, but in terms of like the just,
I don't know.
I don't know
how
threads it felt.
I don't know how else you would. I feel like it would be difficult to wrap up a show like this without it feeling kind of overstuffed because it's just like there's a lot of lore you got to wrap up. You got to decide what happens to the characters. You got to kind of like put some sort of bow on it. And,
you have to have David Boreanaz just show up and then leave.
Yeah. You have to go realize that you had terrible chemistry between Angel and Buffy. You have to revisit that, but then also revisit the somehow worse chemistry between her and Spike and be like, oh no.
I have some Spike lore that makes Spike even worse.
Is it that he tried to
rape her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not great.
Love is love, they say.
No, it's not.
No, don't love that.
I don't hate... No.
Wow, you hate love. Wow. Deej. I hate love. DJ Phillips.
Put that
front
in the
page
quotes.
of Sunnydale Times.
Okay. We've spoken about the episodes individually. I think it's time. Maybe it's just save it for our recap, our verdict.
The recap of our feelings.
Yeah.
Which is what I wanted to call it, but you kept calling it verdict. I lost that one. Podcasts are not a democracy.
I am the king of this podcast. Everybody knows that. Let's go to the verdict.
Let's go to the recap of our feelings.
Okay. We need a new song if that's what it's going to be. Some sort of like romantic violin music.
DJ, what did you think of B, lowercase t, capital VS?
Okay. Now, here's the thing.
I love this already.
I think it's just because I am married to... You can leave your mic on because now it sounds like you're not reacting at all.
No, I'm not an active listener. I'm going to be checking. I'm going to be checking my phone throughout this whole
muting your mic.
I like to clear my throat and cough a lot. And then you got to choke up on this mic, as you like to say.
You don't have to like choke up for like your reactions to my bits. Okay. Anyway, this is an IP that's close to home because Lauren really treasures it, and I know
not even close to it.
I know that she knows my feelings on it. I think this kind of sucks. And I know this is very special to people, and I don't want to take that away from anyone. But this did not change that overall. I think this is a pretty bad television show. It's mostly the acting that I really just can't get over. Because the writing can be clunky at times, but it's kind of fun sometimes. Like the little quips are pretty fun. I think Joss Whedon's thing got overdone, got overexposed, and I it's one of those things where I can still enjoy it, but also make fun of it. Like I think the quippy, like, but it's also very of its time. It's very like late 90s, early 2000s, and I think it's pretty fun when done well. It was never done well, except for like 5 times in everything I've seen of the series. And I think the standouts of Hush and The Body are like really good television. Like Hush is really fun and really like kind of scary, like in a fun way, not like a nightmare way, but the character design on the gentleman is really amazing. The footmen, they're like guys in straitjackets running around. It's freaky. It's very much like a Doctor Who episode. It's like very like low budget, like, and silly, but they're leaning into it.
The gif of the gentleman answering the door, like when someone opens the door and they sort of smile.
Yeah.
I assume that was from a Doctor Who episode. It seems so specific, and it is a Buffy thing.
Yeah. Which, Doctor Who is its own thing too. Like it's not to take away from that, but it's a very specific thing. The Body is like just kind of a standout. Like this is just a very serious subject they decided to tackle, and it was done really well. That like even the acting, which is a real low point in most of the rest of the series, is done really well. And I thought they approached it in a unique way too. It wasn't just a character death, like, for its own sake. They dedicate a whole episode pretty much to it, and it was a big deal. It would be a big deal in real life, and it's a big deal to the character. And I thought that was cool. And I would watch those episodes again. I mean, I don't know if I would watch The Body because it's actually very affecting, but I would watch Hush again. I've seen it a couple of times, and I would watch that at like Halloween. It's a fun little thing. I have no desire to watch any of the rest of this. I don't like care about the lore. I think in theory, it's kind of fun that they have this lore stacking that happens over the episodes, but like it sounds exhausting to me to like try to keep up with that. Yeah, sorry. I think this sucks. You're a child's an idiot. But if you already like this, you already have rewatched this over and over again, so my opinion's not going to affect anything you say. What about you, Damon?
I have a very similar opinion to you in that when we started these episodes, I was like, I am Sisyphus, and this is my boulder. I don't know how I'm going to do this, and I kind of want to tap out of the entire podcast. Like, how do I get out of this? Trying to figure out how to weasel my way out.
We delayed for like 3 weeks.
Like 4.5 hours of television. And I think, a lot of my friends like this show, and a lot of people I don't know, but that I respect, like writers I know, and television creators and movie creators that I like this show. And when I started it, I was like, why this show? And I think I am of a similar ilk. This is not a show for me.
Right. Yeah.
I think this, on the spectrum of like comedy to soapy teen drama, this leans much more into teen drama.
Yeah.
Soapy teen drama than I was expecting. And I don't really ever connect with those type of shows. I'm happy that Buffy and all her friends are very attractive and always just seem to be falling in and out of love with various other attractive people, both mortal and im. But I don't think this is a show for me. Once we got to Hush and then The Body, and then honestly, like as bad as the music was in the Once More with Feeling show, I appreciated the homage to golden age musicals,
campiness of it and stuff. Yeah,
the sort of campiness, archness of it. That I was like, okay, now I see why people really like this show. And I feel like in those 3 episodes, the rhythm of Joss Whedon's writing and the cast finally clicked. Whereas in the season 1 and 2 episodes that we watched, it was not there. And I was like, this just seems like soapy teen stuff with vampire things thrown around. That being said, I don't think I'll return to this, just because it's not my thing. But I recognize that it is someone's thing that is not me. Now, is that a rubric I've used when reviewing other things for this podcast? No. But I am going to hedge my bets and say your inner child is not an idiot, with the caveat that this isn't a Damon thing.
We're terrified of Buffy fans.
Please don't hurt me. I have a wife and kids. No, but I know I don't hate it. I just think like the soapy high school drama, like that stuff. I look, I also have a anathema to this type of thing. Like when I was in high school, I hated things like Dawson's Creek and that sort of ilk of show, like the One Tree Hills of it all, where I was like, fuck you. I don't want to hear about attractive people being torn between 2 other attractive people. Like, I don't care. Go fuck yourselves. I like kind of like people are like, I don't want to watch the White Lotus. I don't want to see sad rich people. I'm like, that's not my opinion, but I respect where you're coming from. And in the same way, I'm like, I wish you will respect me for not wanting to see attractive teens in like love triangles. And that is I've never really been into the soapiness. And I think the dramas just in general just have to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Buffy already starts pretty big in that she is a chosen one, chosen to slay vampires, like a Highlander situation. And I feel like it only can get bigger until Spike is shooting sun lasers out of his magical amulet in the mouth of hell. So I love you, Buffy fans. I think you're great. I think you're worthy of love. But this is not my show. But I will say your inner child is not an idiot.
I think we have to give some credit for just like having a show, like you said, with some queer representation, and also
absolutely
just like living in a space that wasn't well trodden, at the time, where it's like,
it is amazing. I mean, I knew that Willow was an early representation of lesbianism, queerness on television. I didn't realize how well done it was. I will say that. Like usually, think of like early episodes of Will and Grace where it was like, we talked about Will being gay, but we never saw him kiss anyone.
Yeah.
Or like be in a sexual situation with anyone, or even be in a relationship with anyone. And the fact that Willow was over here in the same time period, like having a sexual, flirtatious, fun relationship that was treated as completely normal, is quite groundbreaking. And I mean, credit where credit's due. It's really great. Well done.
Is Allison Hannigan your MVP?
Yeah, I think Allison Hannigan is my my Catherine O'Hara. My Sally Field. I mean, Hush.
Yeah,
in general, I think would be
favorite
my Sally
episode.
Field. Yeah,
yeah, I would agree with both of those. I think if Cordelia, we should say her name. What is the actress's name?
Say her name.
Say her name.
Hashtag say her name.
I think if Cordelia, Charisma Carpenter, had been in more.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is she in the witness protection program? Sounds like
Damon.
If
she
I
is.
was writing like young adult fiction. That's the name I would come up with.
If she was in more episodes, I really thought she was fun and like had the right kind of bad acting at the beginning where it worked for me in a way that it didn't really for anybody else as they were quipping through the early episodes. She was the
best of those early episodes, yes.
Yeah, but she didn't stick around long enough. So I think we got to give it to Willow. And Hush is, I think the body is like definitely very affecting and maybe had some, it's a very different vibe from Hush.
Yes,
so
it's probably the best written episode of the show, but feels like such an anomaly that it seems weird to give it to that.
It's kind of,
whereas Hush, I feel like is probably like the Buffy episode. If you're like, hey, I want you to get into Buffy, let's ignore these early episodes.
Yeah.
And start watching Hush. I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I hate to say this, but what do you think, everybody? Your inner child.
Remember that, everyone. DJ wants to silence your voices.
Your inner child is an idiot at gmail.com. You can email Damon. Damon checks our email. You can text us or leave us a voicemail, 615-576-0525. I want to thank our patrons for supporting the show, including Just Cuz,
Lindsay, Halik,
Heather Tuggle,
Captain Jean-Luc Picard,
Larissa Maestro,
the Zesty,
His Honor the Mayor,
the supreme ruler of this podcast.
And Jackson has an unhealthy obsession with Damon.
Zachary Hartley,
Dr. Malcolm's Heaving Bosom,
David Mort,
Bill Haynes,
Josh Frigo,
Jeremy Powlin,
Little Miss Chicken Nugget,
Karen Curd,
Particle Man, who was a villain on a Buffy episode we didn't get to watch.
Oh, that's too
Particle Man, yeah.
The elusive fan.
Particles.
The elusive fan Gromkin.
Beth Surmont.
I'm going to let you take this one, too.
Damon still stringing.
Caroline Amberson.
Hit on the Cartouche.
Lindsay Nell.
Tippi Von Cheaterly.
Travis Vance.
Jonathan Day.
The Hands of Fate.
Tommy Boy is my favorite movie.
And T. Smith. Thank you all
Thank you, everyone.
very, very much. We really appreciate your support. And I hope you continue supporting us even when we shit on a show that you like.
Shit on the Cartouche of a show that you like.
Shit on the Cartouche. Even in death, the show can't stop being shat on.
Do you remember when Buffy was trapped in that Cartouche and only Willow knew the spell to get her out?
And it was shitting on it.
And it was shitting all over the place. I'm amazed that they could put that on a show in the 90s.
You couldn't show cunnilingus, but you could show shit?
Cartouches can shit, but I can't shit on a show? Amazing.
Ridiculous.